But I think that frustrations in athletes happen when you don't succeed, and you know that you could succeed. And Tony Khan and his people did not do a good job on CM Punk's return, wasted a lot of time.
I believe you worked with CM Punk for some time, right?
Yes. Even when he's debuted, I just knew that he was different. Like, who has like a Pepsi tattoo, and look tough wearing it, by the way. I don't think you could tell me you could have an actual wrestler have a Pepsi tattoo and look like a badass. But CM Punk, Phil could get away with it, and having this background of like a Daniel Bryan and him of coming from the independent circuit and having the ability to wrestle like from Ring of Honor. And I believe that the straight edge persona, in a way, it established him, but it also became like a shoot, because at that time, the majority of us were doing drugs. You know, even somebody like me that was not full time in the ring was they're all doing drugs. This guy will hit you in your face with the statement, "I am a true wrestler. I'm straight edge, you know, no drugs." And then he will talk about that, like in a way of like no steroids, like he was the real one. So I think that character became not just character, but became the reality of what Phil felt in his heart. And at the time, it's like a person that drinks alcohol and has a friend that doesn't drink, and he keeps pointing the finger at you drink, and then in a way you feel like he's telling you you're weak. And I'm not weak. Look at me. I don't have the big muscles, but you ring the bell and I kick butt. And I think that was also like a heat getter. And I believe also that he brought in like a different psychology. And I think he got into the wrong spots with people. And I think that after a while, he was comfortable pissing off people and doing that like babyface, like shit that later was successful. Like a Stone Cold Steve Austin became this huge star, not just because Vince created the character, but because he wasn't acting to be Stone Cold. Even today, if you see him, he's a multimillionaire guy, but you will see him with a t-shirt and the jeans. So it was like people knew that there was a lot of reality into Stone Cold, and people knew there was a lot of reality into CM Punk. And unfortunately, I think that it just got carried away. And in a lot of ways, he was very, he confronted people. He was never a yes man. And I just think that he at one point, I believe, making like huge money, he didn't make like in Ring of Honor. I think that established like a wrong way, if you excuse me for saying that. And I'm like one of the few guys that, my wife passed away 3 years ago. We were like the only couple doing like what we're doing right now in the media, that we will support him and say, we need to have him back. And not because I was covering things that were not nice of him, that he had arguments with people, yes, but because of the way that he was fired on like the story goes, on his honeymoon, Vince, and then Vince apologized for it, but he said, shoot, he fired him on his honeymoon. So being a creative guy, I thought that him coming back, and people said, no, he'll never come back. And I kept saying, he came back, he's gonna come back. And then when he did, unfortunately, I don't think he came into the right place. I think that even with all the controversy, he should have gone to Vince and come back and use the black and white vignette as a shoot in the ring. You imagine if he sits down, crosses in the ring, and there's AJ Lee in the ring and says, this and Mother F fired me in my honeymoon. And then on the big screen, you have black and white, him and his wife, the voice of Vince saying, you're fired. And then like the cans on the back of the car of Just Married. I think you had the right time to come back like for at least 2 years. But unfortunately, it didn't happen with Vince. it happened with Tony Khan, and Tony Khan has an alliance with my company, with AAA. So I'm so used to getting heat from Vince or Tony, and I don't have anything personal. I love WWE. I pray for WWE, and I pray that Tony has success. I did the first 2 pay-per-views with them, and I believe that he did not do a good job. Tony Khan and AEW did not do a good job. And right now, when he's checking what we're doing, Tony, he probably wants to strangle me. But I believe that if he would have done it right, I'm not saying that this thing wouldn't have happened, but I think that frustrations in athletes happen when you don't succeed, and you know that you could succeed. And Tony Khan and his people did not do a good job on CM Punk's return, wasted a lot of time. And even for a young guy, they built like a young guy being supported by Sting. They did that even better, that to bring this controversial guy, CM Punk, and just wasted so many TV moments until people were not happy with his comeback. It was frustration time. So I think that didn't help on his attitude. Plus the failure of his triumph of doing UFC, but his failure of not succeeding in winning records and having Dana White say, no, this is not good for you or for us, and for him to be let go. So I think he was bringing all these things in, and not having the right push, the right way of doing his character. I think that accelerated that horrible press conference. That press conference could be, that night that they talk in the country music world, where Johnny Cash and this guys met this little studio back then, and it's like a legend. In a way, I think that this incident with Punk falls into a category like that, because who in the world could have expected something like this to happen? A trainer biting Kenny Omega, chair shot, and the Young Bucks and Elite destroying a freaking dressing room door. Some of the nicest people you could meet in your whole life, because the Young Bucks, I love them. They all work for my shows, international, including Chile. And if you ask the Young Bucks and the Hardys, what was one of the places they had most fun and more reaction, the Young Bucks and the Hardys will tell you Santiago de Chile, working for Hugo, because it was a little bit over 5,000 people in a small arena, but the fans were so loud, so passionate, that if you talk to Young Bucks, I remind them about that night in Santiago, and they will tell you it was like the perfect storm. So I believe this whole thing with CM Punk, it was building. I don't think it just happened in AEW. I think this was a building, the mindset of Phil. And personally with me, he was always beautiful. So I was around things where there were freaking arguments during prior to a TV match, and you didn't know what the heck was going to happen, and it was like a bad marriage between him and Vince. But we were not strangers to that, because we saw that happen with Hulk Hogan and Vince also. So WWE has a history of dealing with this diva type characters that are so freaking good, but yet they're so temperamental. And you know that happens with singers and actors, but in our industry, we're not allowed to have those meltdowns. In every other field, from the biggest pianist to actors and actresses, it's okay if they have a meltdown. But in our business, they're always picking to make us look bad. Very few people are looking for wrestling or lucha libre to say something nice about us. So I think that CM Punk gave the opportunity to the haters of putting this black eye on our industry. This should have never happened. And what's been reported is that he had already told somebody before that press conference, hey, check that out. So even for a guy like me that loves CM Punk, and I believe that he was never used to his maximum capacity. And a lot of people and boys will say, are you F crazy, Hugo? That ego of him and all of that. But I think that that ego should have been part of that storyline. And even now, even now, we know he got operated and all of that, maybe 8 months out. But if I had something to do with him and I was able to put peace between, like Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, of course, I do believe like Steele should be fired. I do believe that he should be fired because...
you don't bite people.
Yes. And I don't care how good of a friend you are or a trainer, you don't bite, unless you are a family of Mike Tyson and you want to relive that Holyfield. I mean, you don't do that. So I think that he should have been the direct responsible for that, because somebody should have had the common sense of saying, hey, we've had enough heat already. Let's not make this worse. And then many people say, but Hugo, they broke the door down.